So, Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a pretty crazy franchise. The thing is, I've never played a single FNAF game in my life. In fact, I can't even get past the 10-minute mark in any Markiplier videos because my attention span is that bad. Yet I still find myself inexplicably drawn to this series. Watching people freak out over the crazy and convoluted story is just really entertaining to me, so I've decided to try my best to explain the entire FNAF lore, solely based on the random tweets and theory videos I've seen. Obviously, this is not going to be a remotely accurate lore retelling. It's just for fun and because I thought it would be kind of funny. So, our story starts with this guy named William Afton. You might know him as the Purple Guy or the man behind the slaughter. So, William Afton probably has a wife, and he also has 3 kids. There's Michael, the oldest kid, Elizabeth, the middle child, and there's also a youngest son. And the youngest son is only ever called the crying child because I guess Scott Cawthon doesn't know how to name characters or something. William also has a business partner named Henry. So, one day, William and Henry decide to start a Chuck E. Cheese-esque pizzeria with animatronic characters to entertain children. The first restaurant location is called Fredbear's Family Diner, and it has 2 animatronics, Golden Freddy and Golden Bonnie. The animatronics also double as wearable mascot suits called Springlock suits. The crazy thing about Springlock suits is that if they get wet, or if anything goes wrong with the mechanics, the springs in the suit will completely fail, and the person inside will get literally crushed to death. Yeah, I don't really know how it works, but sometimes you just have to accept things with this franchise, I think. Anyway, William's youngest son, the crying child, is super terrified of these animatronics for whatever reason, and Michael bullies him all the time. Luckily, the crying child gets emotional support from his Golden Freddy plush, which can, psychically communicate with him somehow. Maybe it's possessed? I don't know. Moving on. One day, the Aftons are all hanging out at Fredbear's. Michael and some of his friends start bullying the crying child. They pick him up and shove his head into the Golden Freddy animatronic's mouth, but the moisture from the tears sets off the springlocks, and his head does get completely chomped. So that's a big yikes. The crying child's in a coma for a few days, during which he has terrible nightmares about these animatronics, which is, FNAF 4. I think the first game in the timeline. So FNAF 4 is just this really crazy dream. It's not actually real, and at the end of it, the crying child dies from his injuries. Rest in peace. That kind of sucks for him. So the Afton family is kind of struggling after that. Something about the crying child's death made William go absolutely bonkers, and now he wants to murder children? I mean, probably not the best way to cope with grief if you ask me, but on the bright side, business is totally booming at Freddy's. They open more locations, including Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. This restaurant has a bunch of new animatronics, which is pretty cool. One day, William Afton is feeling kind of silly, and he decides to start murdering some kids. I don't know, man. He's just weird like that. He was just feeling a little bit quirky. So the first kid he kills is Charlotte, who's actually Henry's daughter. Big ouch. So Charlotte's spirit actually possesses the security puppet animatronic in the location. And then William goes on to kill 5 more kids, and he stuffs their corpses into the other animatronics. And, since this is a horror game, of course, the kids' souls, haunt the animatronic suits. And so it kind of brings the suits to life. And at this point, William is totally gone off the deep end, and he becomes, weirdly obsessed with, killing kids. So he builds this new set of animatronics that are specifically designed to capture and murder children. And he keeps these animatronics in this weird bunker, which I think is underneath his house or something. So anyway, do you remember Elizabeth, William's daughter, the middle child? Well, she's super excited about these animatronics, especially the one called Circus Baby. And one day, she gets a little too close to Circus Baby and gets completely murdered because, it is a child murder animatronic, and her spirit possesses Circus Baby. William, shocked that his child-killing robots have killed his child, freaks out and abandons the bunker. Honestly, I'm not really sure what happens after that in, the timeline and all that, but at some point, William returns to an abandoned Freddy's location. The spirits of the dead kids are understandably pretty pissed off at him, so they start chasing him around. And William, in this moment of panic, tries to hide inside his old Golden Bonnie Springlock suit from Fredbear's Family Diner. But, since the building is literally abandoned, the ceiling is leaking water. And a drop of water hits William, making him get pulverized by the spring locks, dying instantly. Except, not really, because no one in this franchise stays dead for more than 5 minutes, so, of course, his spirit possesses the suit, and this creates the character of Springtrap. Now, we have a bit of a time jump after this. Let's take a little bit of a breather. Okay, back to FNAF. Remember Michael? He's an adult now, and his life is totally miserable. I mean, all his family members at this point are dead. His dad is a serial killer. He accidentally caused the death of his brother. That's pretty rough, buddy. So Michael wants to atone for his father's sins and all that, and he starts investigating different Freddy's locations. This is where the gameplay of, most of the actual FNAF games comes from, I'm pretty sure. It's Michael working as a night guard. And the reason that haunted animatronics try to murder him so much is because he looks really similar to William Afton, being, directly related to him. At some point, Michael also decides to visit that old bunker where all the child-killing animatronics are being kept, including Circus Baby, which, if you remember, is being possessed by his sister. And all these animatronics are sick and tired of being trapped underground in this bunker, and they want to escape, and they want to use Michael to do so. Basically, they trick him into getting scooped. What does getting scooped mean, you ask? Well, essentially, all of Michael's internal organs get, sucked out of his body by this big machine, and then the animatronics, wear him as a skin suit or something. Yeah, this franchise is weird, I think. So for a couple days, the animatronics are able to live life as, a normal human, but eventually Michael's corpse starts rotting, understandably, so the animatronics, eject themselves out of it. And you'd think Michael would be dead at this point, being, a literal pile of skin. But nope, he actually, possesses his own corpse as a ghost and becomes this weird zombie. So, it really sucks to be Michael Afton right now. But there's still hope, because a new Freddy's attraction is actually opened up. Instead of a fun pizzeria, this one's actually a horror attraction based on the, child murders that have happened at all the previous locations. So Michael gets another night guard job so he can kind of investigate. But then he finds something crazy. He finds Springtrap, who has been transported to this horror attraction, which, Springtrap is also known as William Afton, who is, his dad. So Michael tries to kill Springtrap by committing arson and, burning down the entire horror show. But as I mentioned before, literally no one ever dies in this series. Michael and William both survive. The fire doesn't really do anything. So things are getting kind of rough at this point. A bunch of kids are dead. William is stuck in a fursuit, Michael is possessing himself, and Henry, if you remember him, is nowhere to be found, but he's about to make his return. After hiding in the shadows for 90% of the series, he forms a plan to get revenge on William. He creates this crazy fake pizzeria. I don't really know how, but somehow this fake pizzeria lures in literally every character in this franchise. Must have been a really good pizzeria, to be honest. So the whole gang is here. There's every animatronic, including the ones that are possessed by Charlotte, by Elizabeth, by the crying child, and all the other dead kids. Michael and William show up too. So Henry enacts his crazy plan. He traps every character in this one room, and he burns the entire pizzeria down, killing everyone inside, including William and Michael, and also freeing all the spirits of these dead kids who have been possessing things. So everything is finally over, and all the loose ends have been tied up. It seems like everyone got a satisfying conclusion, so the series is over, right? Right? The short answer is no. The long answer, well, I think it would be better to discuss that in part 2, because there is way too much lore in Five Nights at Freddy's to fit into this one video. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my retelling of the Five Nights at Freddy's lore. Please do not take this as facts. I have never played a Five Nights at Freddy's game. None of this could be true for all I know. But according to all the MatPat videos I've seen, all the clips of gameplay, and all of the random tweets on Twitter, this is what I interpret the story to be. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.